got a new segment that we're, going to roll into. We don't have matchups that we can talk about and set lineups for every week now. Those are going to be running out here soon. Hopefully they go all the way through week 17. We get some dubs there. But for the rest of the season, we're going to start this one off. We're going to be starting this week, doing it every week all the way through the Super Bowl. We are going to be picking every game against the spread, keeping track of it all the way through. It's going to be me versus Chase. We'll have a running tally up throughout the rest of the season, and we'll see who comes out the winner on this one. This is not financial advice.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is not gambling advice. This is just a thing between Cody and I that we were trying to do a challenge and see where we're at and how good we are on this. So.
Exactly. But, if I do start hitting at 75% clip, then you might want to start tailing. But as soon as you do, know that it's going to fail and we're going to go down to 0 the next week.
Yep. Exactly. All right, so let's kick things off here. Let's do Thursday night. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Jets. Mentioned weather conditions. This is in New York, so this is going to be a chilly, windy game. I am taking Jacksonville plus 1.5 over the Jets. I think they're going to win this game outright. They've been hot. They actually can make the playoffs. They can make the playoffs. Everything is setting up perfectly for them. The Jets, they've been kind of in turmoil lately. They just lost to Detroit. I'm just going to take Jacksonville plus 1.5. Over the New York Jets.
And yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's the same thing. It's going to be, maybe Zonovan Knight can get something going on the ground, but I think I'm still going to lean ETN on the ground with this Jacksonville offense, a team led by Zach Wilson this week in the cold, in the conditions. I'm going to go with the team that's been catching fire with Trevor Lawrence lately. I'm going to take Jacksonville, the plus 1.5 as well.
Love it. So Baltimore and Atlanta coming up next here. I really struggled with this pick just because of the quarterback situation for both teams, and I really wanted to pick Atlanta, but I'm taking Baltimore giving up 7. I think Baltimore is going to get the ground game going, and I feel like it might end up being a push, but I'm going to take Baltimore giving up 7 points against Atlanta in the Dome.
All right, and I'm going to go the other side on this one. I think that Ritter is not going to be a major factor in this one. They're going to use the ground game. Algier, Cordell Patterson are going to be running over this Baltimore team, the Baltimore offense, even though they have stepped up their running game with J.K. Dobbins. A little bit broken. I'm going to be on Atlanta plus the 7 and taking the points.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, so Detroit and Carolina. Carolina giving up 2.5 here. I want you to go first on this one. This one I really struggled with.
All right. Yeah, I struggled with this one too. And honestly, the only reason, so this one came down close to me, and I think the only reason that Carolina is up at plus 2.5 is because they're home. All of these teams are listed as away teams at the top, home teams at the bottom. I'm going to be taking the home team, the Carolina Panthers, plus the 2.5.
I ended up picking Detroit, giving up the points. And I think for me, it came down to, I was looking at that week 16 data, and I was looking at how bad that Carolina defense is. And it just feels like a prime game for Detroit to drop points. I think Carolina is going to do the same against Detroit, but I feel like Detroit has the better offense in the end, and I'm going to give up those 2.5.
All right, let's move into this Buffalo and Chicago game. Buffalo catching 9 points against Chicago, or minus the 9 points against Chicago. A large spread on this one. On this one is where I'm just taking the better team. I still don't believe in the Chicago offense. And so I'm going to take Buffalo to just dominate this game with Josh Allen and taking the 9 points with Buffalo.
Cold, windy home game. Buffalo is going to win this game, but it is going to be a lower scoring game, in my opinion. I think it's going to stay close. I'm taking Chicago getting the 9 points, but Buffalo is going to win this game probably by 7. Is what I think it's going to be. It'll be closer just because of the conditions that are probably going to limit the offense. I think Monty and Fields can get the ground game going enough to keep it competitive, but it's still going to be a Buffalo game for me.
Yeah, Buffalo on the money line, but
yeah,
we're split on the spread. So we got some differences here through the first 4 games, taking the first 3 games on Saturday all the way on different sides. We're going to have some comebacks having to be mounted on week 2 of this. The next game, we got New Orleans and Cleveland. Cleveland minus 2.5 favorites. I don't understand this one. Whenever I looked at the spread, Cleveland at home against a bad New Orleans team. Give me Cleveland minus 2.5. I don't even need to talk about this one.
You know, it's funny you say that, man. I'm actually taking New Orleans and the
Okay.
points. I'm taking New Orleans and the 2.5. I feel like this is a game that New Orleans can win. Like Alvin Kamara on the ground, they're going to use Taysom Hill and gadget formations. I feel like the run game of New Orleans is better, and I feel like Nick Chubb missing back-to-back practices worries me. So that is my big thing. I don't think Nick Chubb is playing this week. I don't. And that is why I'm going to lean on the New Orleans ground game and what they can do over what Cleveland and Kareem Hunt can do. So that is the only reason. I would love to say, since we're recording this, I'm just going to leave my bet or leave my pick as is. But if Nick Chubb does play, I'm probably going to want to flip flop. But New Orleans plus 2.5, give me that.
All right. Yeah. And if we see some major movement on this money line, obviously we're doing this on Wednesday. We're going to be dropping this one on Friday. So hopefully we're actually going to be retroactively doing this Jacksonville and New York Jets game where we took the same side. Hopefully we were right on that one. Let's get into the Seattle and KC matchup. You go first on this one.
All right. So this one I struggled with, and I think Kansas City's going to beat them, but I was like 10 points. I'm taking Seattle plus 10. Seattle plus 10 here just feels like the right move. I feel like both offenses will get it going, whether it's the ground game or in the air. I do think Kansas City is going to win, and it might end up being a push because Kansas City's at home. But again, weather conditions come into play. It's going to make things a little bit lower scoring, in my opinion. So I'm going to take Seattle plus 10.
And I'm also going to be on the opposite side on this one. We are going 5 for 5 on this one. All right. So reason I'm taking KC, I'm looking back at that running back data. I think Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon are going to run all over Seattle. I think on the other side, they're going to be good enough to stop Ken Walker. And I think Kansas City is going to win this one by more than 10. I'm hoping for maybe like a 13-point game in this one.
I know for fantasy purposes, you're really relying on that Mahomes Kelsey stack. So I know what you want.
That one bakes in a little bit, probably.
So I'm looking at the next matchup here with Minnesota and the New York Giants, and it was another one that made me think, but that Giants defense has been just getting crushed lately. Minnesota -4, give me those 4. I'll give up those 4 points. Minnesota's going to crush them, and easy enough.
Yep, Minnesota at home in the dome. They're going to be passing the ball all over them with Jay Jett coming off the high of last week's comeback win, historic win, best in NFL history. Yeah, giving me again -4 against New York.
Love it. All right, so we got Cincinnati at New England. New England giving up 3 points. This one for me was too easy. I'm taking Cincinnati. I'll give up those 3 points. There's no explanation needed. Cincinnati is just the better team. I don't care that New England's at home. None of that matters to me at all. It's going to be the Cincinnati show, and they're going to beat them by 7+.
Yeah, actually, like I said, Cleveland and New Orleans didn't make sense to me. This one also didn't make sense to me. I'm right there with you. Cincinnati +3 or -3.
Perfect. Houston, your Houston Texans on the road against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee without Ryan Tannehill. Where you got on this one?
This is going to be Houston or Houston all the way. Fuck that. No, this is Tennessee. Derrick Henry, again, he's going to rush for 200 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns, and Houston might score a touchdown. -3 doesn't make sense to me. I think I could take it at -10. Give me Tennessee.
Houston, outright win. Houston, outright win. That's what's going on right now. Malik Willis in the game. I know that they're just going to load the box and try to stop Derrick Henry. Whether they can or not is a whole other story. That Tennessee secondary is awful. I feel like Houston's going to do enough. They were able to compete with Kansas City. Yeah, it was a home game, so it's a little bit different circumstances. But I'm taking, you're going to give me Houston +3. I will take those points. We are different again on this one. I'm taking Houston +3.
Last game, Malik Willis was also playing against Houston. Derrick Henry still rushed for 30 attempts, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. They won 17-10, covered the -3. This time they're at home. Yeah, it's Tennessee. I'm a pessimistic Houston fan, though, so I'd bet against them every single time if I could. Regardless, let's move on. Let's move into the Washington versus San Francisco games. San Francisco with -9 going up against Washington. Washington's actually been a little bit of a better team than I've thought. Brock Purdy's looked good, though. I think this is Jimmy G. You could almost even see a little bit more, but -7 feels like a lot. I'm still going to take San Francisco, though. I think Brock Purdy's going to do well enough in Frisco to beat Washington by 7 or more.
Yep, San Francisco giving up the 7 points, I'm good with. I feel like the ground game's going to get going. CMC has looked incredible with this offense as they've actually opened him up and let him do more. They're just going to walk all over Washington, in my opinion. And that San Francisco defense should be able to lock down Terry McLaurin and whatever Heineke is going to do on offense. San Francisco give up the points. So moving on to a big time divisional matchup, Philadelphia on the road in Dallas. Dallas giving up 5 points here. Now, again, Jalen Hurts, questionable, most likely out this game. I'm going to assume that he is out, and I am still going to take Philadelphia +5. I feel like the spread is just too much. Gardner Minshew should be able to do enough to keep this a close, competitive game. So I'm going to give up those points. I don't know who the winner is, but Philly +5.
This is, I still haven't made up my mind on this one as we were going into this, and I'm glad you went first on it. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to take Philly +5, regardless of whether Hurts plays or not. I think if Jalen Hurts was in this game, it'd be a much larger spread. Much larger, I don't know, maybe like a 7.5 point spread here. But yeah, I'm still going to think that Gardner Minshew is able to do enough to keep this within 5.
All right, we have Las Vegas on the road in a chilly, cold, windy game in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is giving up 2.5 points as the home team. I kind of want you to go on this one. Who do you have first, or who do you have on this one?
Yeah, on this one, I think I'm just going to take the best running back who's been putting up the most yards in the league. I'm going to take the Raiders in this one. I mean, the conditions favor it. I know Najee's been good. The Pittsburgh Steelers are good against the run, but I think it's, close enough game. I think it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a very close game. Probably going to come down to a field goal at the end. Hope that the Las Vegas Raiders are on the right side. Catch them +2.5.
Yep, I actually have Vegas +2.5 as well. Same kind of reasons. I do think Derek Carr will be able to actually get the passing game going or play action pass going with Devontae Adams. Darren Waller, looked good enough in his return. So love to see that down the stretch. Let's move on to Green Bay in one of the only warm and sunny games we have in Miami. So Miami giving up 4 points to the Green Bay Packers. Man, I'm taking Miami -4. That Green Bay offense seems inept. I feel like Miami should be able to do enough against Green Bay's secondary to put up some points, and I just don't think Green Bay is going to be able to keep up.
Yep, Miami actually even played well in the cold whenever we all didn't think they would. That narrative was put out there a lot last week. They played good in the cold. They're going to play even better in the warmth whenever they go back home. Give me Miami -4.
Love it. All right, Denver on the road in L.A. Now, Los Angeles is giving up 2.5 points. I'm going to have you go first on this one since it's my Broncos. Who you got going on here?
Yep, your Broncos stink. We're going to take the Rams at +2.5 at home. Baker Mayfield looked competent enough to run this offense. At times, he's looked better than Russell Wilson has this year. So I'm going to take LAR +2.5.
I'm a pessimistic Denver Broncos fan as well, but I'm taking the better defense here, and Denver has the better defense. Russell Wilson is back. I guess that means something. It's supposed to, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to take Denver, giving up 2.5 points on the road. I do think they're going to be able to do enough. I just don't know. Like, as you get film on Baker Mayfield, you see what this offense looks like with him. It's going to be a limited playbook, and I think Denver's defense is going to shut him down. So that's that.
All right, let's move into our next one. Tampa Bay, Arizona. Arizona catching 7.5 with Kyler Murray out, with Colt McCoy out. We're now down to a Trace McSorley game, and this is why this is a 7.5 game. It obviously wouldn't be without that quarterback situation. So is Tom Brady good enough, with as bad as he's looked and as bad as this offense has looked, to beat Arizona by 7.5? I am going to lean yes. I don't feel good about this one. This is another one that I was somehow even tossed up against Trace McSorley. I can't bet on Trace McSorley. I'm not taking that side almost no matter what the spread is. I'm going to take the GOAT and Tom Brady and think that they figured out a way to beat them by 7.5 or more.
Yeah, man. When I looked at this game and I was like, I think Arizona could lose by 7. Like, I could see that. And I'm like, it's Trace McSorley. They have an awful defense. I'm like, Tampa Bay, I'll give up the 7.5 on the road. I think that, they'll be able to figure it out enough to win by almost double digits or double digits. So let's wrap this thing up with our Week 16 matchups with a Monday night game. the non-thriller that is the Los Angeles Chargers on the road against Indianapolis. Indy giving up 4.5. Who do you have here?
Yeah, 4.5 with Big Dick Foles. No, I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. Indy just came off. I mean, good God, Matt Ryan, how do you do that twice in one career? That's just awful. Could be his last career is the worst comeback loss in NFL history. This Indianapolis team is falling apart. I'm going to take the Chargers or minus the 4.5.
Yeah, I debated on switching it when Nick Foles was named the starter, but I'm sticking with it. Chargers minus 4.5. Chargers team has looked really good since Justin Herbert and company have been all healthy. You know, we got Mike Williams out there, Keenan back out there. Things seem to be clicking a little bit better for that team. They're still in the playoff hunt. They want this. They're gonna want this more. And I think Indy's just deflated after what happened last week. So.
Yep, I think that wraps us up for all of Week 16. We'll be back again with a full slate in Week 17, and then one more full slate in Week 18. Those Week 18 games are going to be tough, though, with all these teams either knowing they're in or out of the playoffs. That's one of the hardest weeks to bet. But we'll keep track of this the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll be, I'll be blowing you out by that point, and it won't even matter what we're doing in the playoffs. It won't matter, and we'll just keep it rolling.
Come on, man. I'm surprised we had 6 different picks. I'm surprised that we actually had 6 totally different picks. And they were all those, like, mostly those early games. So I'm probably going to be dead wrong, but hey.
Oh, no, I'm horrible at this stuff, too. We'll probably come out. We'll both be at like 40% somehow.
Yep. Love it.